You're listening to Dating on High Alert, a podcast about neurodivergence, trauma, nervous systems, and the messy reality of being human in relationships. And I speak from lived experience, not theory, not perfection, just honest conversations for people who feel deeply and are learning to understand themselves with compassion. And in the last few episodes, we've talked a lot about what happens when the nervous system is on high alert. Scanning, bracing, over-noticing, trying to stay safe. But today we're looking at the other side of that, the quiet part, the part of you that doesn't fight or analyse, but goes still, distant, flat or silent. This episode is called When You Go Quiet. Shutdown isn't indifference, it's protection. And if you've ever pulled away, not because you don't care, but because you care too much to stay open, this one is just for you. Welcome back to Dating on High Alert. There's another side to High Alert that doesn't look intense at all. It looks quiet. It looks distant. It looks like pulling away, going flat, or suddenly not having the energy to explain what you're feeling. And today I want to talk about that side, the part of the nervous system that doesn't fight or scan, but freezes, shuts down or withdraws. The part that says, I can't do this right now. And for a lot of us with trauma and neurodivergence, going quiet isn't indifference. It's not punishment. It isn't a lack of care. It's protection. And if you've ever found yourself disappearing a little when things feel too much, and it's not because you don't care, but because you care so deeply that you don't know how to stay present. Well, this episode is just for you. And we're not here to judge that response or to try to fix it. We're here to understand what your body is trying to do and why sometimes the safest move your nervous system knows is to go still. What does shutdown actually feel like in the body? Well, it doesn't arrive with a really loud knock on the door, and it doesn't come with, racing thoughts or like this urgency. It comes with quiet. It can feel like a heaviness in, like in your limbs, like you're moving through water where it just gets a little bit harder to move forward. And the body has decided to conserve energy because something feels too much to hold. The mind slows down. Words become harder to find. Explaining yourself feels exhausting. You just don't know what you feel inside. It's like confusion. It's like depletion. And emotions can flatten, not disappear, but just soften to the point where everything feels distance. You're still there, but you're not fully available. And sometimes it feels like wanting to be alone without knowing why. Sometimes it feels like being with people, but not really in the room. Sometimes it feels like silence is safer than speech. And this isn't laziness, nor is it avoidance, and it's certainly not you giving up. It's the nervous system deciding that the safest way through this moment is to go still. Now, for trauma-shaped neurodivergent nervous systems, shutdown often follows long periods of being on, scanning, noticing, caring too deeply, holding too much. And eventually the system says, whoa, I can't keep racing. So it does the only other thing it knows how to do, and it withdraws. Not because it doesn't care, though, but because it cares so much, it needs to protect what's left. And although shutdown doesn't always look very dramatic, sometimes it can just look very ordinary. It can look like cancelling plans at the last minute because you suddenly can't face being seen. Yes, that's happened to me many times. It can look like reading messages but not having the energy to reply. Absolutely, I do that frequently. Or it can look like sitting on the sofa scrolling, not really interested in anything but not able to rest either. It can look like saying that you're fine because explaining feels like climbing a mountain. And sometimes it looks like doing the bare minimum to get through the day, not because you're lazy, but because your system is in a power saving mode. We have so much energy sometimes. It has to have a way to just go, whoa. People often think that shutdown means not caring, but actually it usually comes after caring too much for too long. And it's not disconnection, it's overload asking for quiet. And sometimes shutdown is much, much heavier than that. Sometimes it looks like not being able to get out of bed. And it isn't because you're lazy or that you don't care, but because your body just feels frozen. It can feel like being paralyzed, like your mind really wants to move, but your body just won't respond. Like gravity has doubled overnight. Like even the small actions feel impossible. That kind of shutdown isn't a choice. It's a nervous system response. It's the body saying, we're not safe enough to move yet. So this is a personal reflection of when I go quiet. And I want to talk about what this looks like for me, because shutdown isn't theoretical in my life. It's something I've done more than once, even when I didn't fully understand it at the time. There have been moments where I just didn't have any energy to explain what I was feeling. Not because I didn't know, but because putting it into words felt like more than I could carry at that moment. So instead of talking, I just went quiet. I pulled back a little, sometimes a lot, and I answered less, and I stayed smaller. And from the outside, that might have looked like I was disinterested. It might have looked like I was distant. It might have looked like I was withdrawing, but inside it felt like survival. It felt like my body saying, I need to protect what's left of me right now. Often this didn't happen because someone had done something terrible. It happened because I'd already been holding a lot, thinking deeply, feeling intensely, trying to stay open when something felt uncertain or emotionally heavy. And eventually my system would say, enough, not in anger, just in exhaustion. And when I go quiet like that, my body changes in other ways too. I can lose my appetite. Food stops being interesting. The taste just disappears. And it's not that I'm choosing not to eat. It's that my body just feels full, even if I haven't eaten much at all. And it's like my system goes into conservation mode. Less talking, less moving, less needing. It's as if it's trying to reduce everything down to the bare minimum it needs to survive for that moment. And that helped me understand something. Shutdown isn't just emotional, it's physical in my body anyway. It's the whole system saying, whoa, we need to slow this right down. And there's also a very clear difference between normal me and shutdown me. So normal me has opinions. Who'd have thought? Shutdown me has beige energy. Normal me can choose a meal. Shutdown me stares at the fridge like it's a trick question. Normal me can talk about feelings. And shutdown me thinks feelings are a long word and maybe we should talk about them next week. The funny thing is, shutdown me isn't trying to be difficult. Shutdown me is just running on emergency batteries. And if my nervous system had a phone, it would pop up with low energy, some features unavailable, please reduce stimulation. And that version of me doesn't need a lecture, it just needs some gentleness. With all of this, there's also a layer of shame that can come with this. Part of me that thought, I should be able to explain myself, I should be able to stay present, I shouldn't need to disappear like this. But over time, I've learnt to see this differently. Going quiet wasn't failing at connection. It was just simply me trying to stay safe inside. And if if you recognise yourself in this too, because obviously we're not alone in this. If you've ever gone silent, not because you didn't care, but because you cared, too much to keep holding everything in, I want you to know that you are definitely not broken. Your nervous system is just learning what it learned to do. So why do others misread shutdown? Well, one of the hardest parts about going quiet is how easily it's misunderstood. From the outside, shutdown can look like you just don't care anymore, like you've lost interest, like you're cold, distant, or just pulling away on purpose. But inside, it doesn't feel like not caring. It feels like having nothing left to give in that moment. It feels like trying to protect the last bit of energy you have so you don't completely collapse. And when other people don't understand that, it can hurt deeply, not just for you, but for them too, because you're already feeling fragile. And then you're told directly or indirectly that you're failing at connection. And then it's like this vicious cycle. You start questioning yourself. Am I being selfish? Am I broken? What's wrong with me? Why can't I just talk? And that self-questioning can be just as painful as the shutdown itself. Not because you want to disappear, but because you want to be understood. And the truth is, most people have never learnt what shutdown looks like from the inside. The only thing they see is the quiet. They don't see the exhaustion, the overwhelm, the nervous system trying to survive. And if you've spent your whole life being misunderstood like this, you may have learnt to apologise for your nervous system instead of actually just going quiet yourself and listening to it. But shutdown isn't rudeness, it isn't rejection, it isn't indifference, it's protection. And I just want to clear something up gently. Shutdown is not manipulation, it's not punishment, it's not coldness, it's not you giving up. Shutdown is your nervous system choosing stillness when movement feels unsafe. It's the opposite of drama, it's conservation. And it's not about making someone feel something, it's about trying to feel less so you can survive that moment. And the more we understand it, or the more we misunderstand it, I should say, the more people start shaming themselves for something their body is doing automatically. If shutdown could speak, I think it would say something like, I'm not trying to disappear. I'm just trying not to speak. I'm just trying not to break. I'm not pushing people away. I'm pulling myself back together. I'm not cold. I'm just tired. I'm not done. I just need some quiet. And sometimes hearing it that way makes it easier to be kind to yourself instead of fighting your own body. And if you do go quiet sometimes, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not failing at connection. You're protecting yourself. Shutdown is not a weakness. It's what the nervous system does when it's held too much for too long. It's the body's way of saying, oh, I need to slow down so that I just don't break. You don't need to shame yourself out of it. You don't need to fix it by force. The work is in noticing it with kindness and learning what your system is asking for in those moments. Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's space. Maybe it's just gentleness. Maybe it's simply not having to explain yourself right now. Over time, safety allows the system to move again, not through pressure, but through care. And if this episode stirred anything for you, take your time with it. Eat when your body is ready. Speak when your voice feels like it again. And if you'd like a softer place to land with this, Dear Ilya and voice note support are always there. No pressure, just options for when it feels right. And I would really like to take this opportunity to thank you for being here, for listening, and for staying with yourself through these moments of truth. Look after your nervous system. And if this episode resonated with you, one of the kindest ways that you can support the podcast is by liking, following, or sharing it. It helps other people with trauma-shaped, neurodivergent nervous systems to find these conversations too. And none of us should have to navigate this alone. And if you need a softer place to land with what you've heard today, don't forget about the Dear Ilya and the voice note support are always there. Not to fix you, just to meet you where you are. Thank you for listening and for staying with yourself through this. If your system feels like it's quite tender, go gently after this. Breathe, move slowly, and give your body time to settle. I'll speak to you next time. And as always, until next spiral.